As soon as the camera shut off, Xi Jinping laid into Donald Trump and he issued an urgent warning. Don't you dare for a second think that you're going to help Taiwan. You understand, Donald? Xi Jinping said, there will be a collision or even major clashes if you continue down a path to support Taiwan. If you mishandle this even a little bit, you're over, Donald Trump. Now, Xi Jinping said that the U.S. needs to immediately clarify that Washington does not support any Taiwanese independence. And Xi Jinping says, put it on the record. If you're coming here to try to get us to help you get a bailout when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, if you're coming here to get a bailout to try to get the rare earths that you need now that your munitions are totally depleted, if you're trying to come here for a bailout for all of your CEOs to manipulate the market, if you want us to help you out, you need to make it very clear, Donald, that you have no further support of Taiwan. Folks, we knew that this moment was always coming, and after Xi Jinping delivered this warning to Donald Trump looked like he saw a ghost. Donald Trump and Xi Jinping were outside in front of cameras a second time. And again, Donald Trump looked like he saw a ghost as members of the press were trying to ask him questions. And all he could say is, China is beautiful. China is beautiful. It was really strange, really frightening to watch. Here, play this clip.
How were your talks, sir?
It's great.
Did you talk about Taiwan?
Great place. Incredible. China's beautiful.
特朗普总统说谈得很好。Did you talk about Taiwan, Mr. President?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, did you talk about Taiwan?
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
Okay.
And get this, China's foreign ministry spokesperson Mao Ning put out a statement on behalf of Xi Jinping, telling the world precisely what Xi Jinping warned Donald Trump about. Here's what China's spokesperson said. President Xi stressed to Donald Trump that the Taiwan question is the most important issue in China-U.S. relations. If it is handled properly, the bilateral relationship will enjoy overall stability. Otherwise, the two countries will have clashes and even conflicts, putting the entire relationship in great jeopardy. Taiwan independence and cross-strait peace are irreconcilable as fire and water. Safeguarding peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait is the biggest common denominator between China and the U.S. Folks, this is exactly what we predicted was going to happen, and you have Xi Jinping dropping the hammer, putting the screws into Donald Trump right now, and you saw how weak Donald Trump is responding. It is so pathetic to watch. Now, Xi Jinping has been setting the tone and terms of this meeting from the jump. Earlier yesterday, we learned that Chinese companies were discussing not so secretly selling weapons to Iran through third countries to try to hide the shipments. But China wanted this story leaked, to be clear. While the story says this is coming from U.S. intelligence, because U.S. intelligence is also trying to say, hey, Donald, you may want to pay attention to what the hell is happening. China doesn't care that the U.S. knows it. And look, Foreign Minister Araghchi of Iran was there in China less than a week ago talking about how China was supporting Iran militarily, politically, diplomatically. So now U.S. officials aren't sure whether any of the weapons were actually delivered or not delivered, although it does appear that the MANPEDs, the portable anti-aircraft missiles, that's what could have been used as delivered by China to Iran to shoot down the F-15E that was over Iran. U.S. intelligence previously suggested China may have been sending these MANPADs to Iran. Officials also say that China has already helped Iran with intelligence gathering and picking out the U.S. targets that Iran were able to successfully hit. We also heard from a Washington Post story from U.S. intelligence officials that China has gained a major edge on the U.S. due to the Iran war. U.S. intelligence finds a good scoop by the Post right here. A confidential new U.S. intelligence analysis details how China is exploiting the war in Iran to maximize its advantage over the United States across a range of fields, including military, economic, and diplomatic. The assessment was produced this week for the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and has raised alarms within the Pentagon about the geopolitical costs of Washington's standoff with Tehran as Trump enters into these talks with Xi Jinping. And as I'm going to continue to reiterate, Trump falling right into the fatal trap set by China. On the military front, the war has drained the munitions of both the United States and the United States Arab allies and the United States Asian allies. The United States security umbrella in the Middle East is gone. The United States security umbrella in Asia is gone. This is why Xi Jinping says, so now what? Make it very clear that you're not supporting Taiwan. You want us to play ball on these other fields? That's what you're going to do for me, Donald. Pay attention. We're going to hear more about this today for sure. So some of whom have bought weapons from China since the war began, the report says that some Arab nations are now buying their weapons from China. Some countries that used to get their weapons from the U.S. is like, nah, we ain't doing this no more. The U.S. is not reliable. Beijing also has assisted countries around the world struggling to meet their energy needs after the U.S.-Israeli attack invasion prompted Iran to close the Hormuz Strait. China is presenting itself as a solutions provider in providing access to jet fuel and other products that are in short supply as a bridge for the short term, he said. Since the war started, Beijing has reached out to Thailand, Australia, the Philippines, and other countries to help them manage their energy needs, and is offering access to Chinese-produced green energy technology as a longer-term solution. Yes, China leaning in on green energy while Donald Trump goes, oh, the green new scam, it's all a scam, windmills, solar, let's get rid of that, and let's make the big, beautiful gushers. Let's do big, beautiful gushers. China knows what it's doing, okay? And this is helping China improve its relations. Then when it improves its relations, it can sell more products. It can sell those incredible cars that China's manufacturing. It can enter more deals. China's economy is growing while the U.S. is suffering. This is not altruism, analysts are saying. It is Beijing seizing on an opportunity to drive wedges between America and its traditional partners. During past energy crises, Washington has dispatched officials around the world and convened emergency meetings to address the shortage. But the Trump administration has not shown any interest in such an effort. This has created an opening that Beijing is working to fill, said an analyst. So normally when there would be energy shocks, the U.S. would say, hey, we're the leader of the world. We want to help. In this case, Donald Trump and Netanyahu caused the energy shock. Then Donald Trump's not even helping. He's saying, screw you all. You try to open up the Strait of Hormuz. Good luck. Then China's coming in with solutions. And China's saying, look, we're the new hegemon in town. The U.S. is not the leader of the free world anymore. They're not the leader of the world. NATO is gone. They don't have any Article 5 guarantees. Their security umbrella is gone. Let us help you. And then we can talk about what else should be involved in that assistance. Economic, can go mutual, militarily. We could talk that. Let's talk about a new international geostrategic architecture that watches the American power wane while China rises. That's what's going on in front of our eyes. Produced by the Joint Staff, by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs Staff Intelligence Directorate, the report uses what's known as a DIME framework to assess China's response to Iran's conflict via 4 instruments of state power: diplomatic, informational, militarily, and economic. The report notes that Beijing has incorporated popular criticisms of the war in its public messaging, labeling the conflict as an illegal war. China has long sought to undermine the image of the the United States as a responsible steward of the rules-based international order. Well, that's pretty easy when the United States is now led by a literal psychotic, maniac, vile piece of trash in the Oval Office, a literal war criminal who rants and raves like a lunatic, and at 2:30, 3:30 a.m. in the morning is posting to arrest former President Obama and other QAnon memes. So not that difficult to actually demonstrate the lack of predictability, reliability of the United States in a world that craves certainty, in a business environment that craves certainty. When asked about the findings, Chief Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell, he's a hack, he said, assertions claiming the global balance of power have shifted towards any nation other than the United States of America are fundamentally false. Experts said the findings provides new insights while reinforcing the growing consensus that the conflict is tilting the balance of power in Beijing's favor. The war in Iran is massively improving China's geopolitical position. That's an understatement. So before Donald Trump even arrived in China, though, China made it very clear, do not even for a second bring up Taiwan. We bring up Taiwan and we tell you what to do, Donald Trump. You understand? We want you to recognize China's rights to Taiwan, give it up immediately. China laid into Donald Trump after they had the little kids run around Donald Trump. They gave Donald Trump his little carnival ceremony that he wanted. Then China laid into Donald Trump. They said to Donald Trump, your sanctions against Iran and your sanctions against the world and your tariffs against the world are patently illegal. Trade negotiations will happen under Chinese conditions. We will tell you when we want to negotiate, how we want to negotiate, and you will not be pushing us around at all. Also, ahead of this meeting between Donald Trump and Xi Jinping, Iran granted more than 10 Chinese ships, including those VLCC oil tankers, those very large cargo container ships, those massive tankers that you see, those massive cargo ships that you see. Iran granted 10 of these Chinese ships immediately, forthwith, permission to transit the Strait of Hormuz in the past 48 hours through its Persian Gulf Strait Authority that Iran and Oman set up, preempting any U.S. attempt to use China as leverage on Iran during the summit. So if the U.S. was going to say, hey, China, maybe we could help you a little bit in the Strait of Hormuz, Iran said, we're making it very clear. China, you're our ally. Your ships get out right now. We're going to let 10 of your ships out right now. And this was all coordinated when Foreign Minister Araghchi was there in China. Iran's foreign minister was in China meeting with Wang Yi last week. And then they both put out statements showing support of Iran militarily, economically, etc. With China receiving 50% of its oil through Hormuz, Xi Jinping can now tell Trump that Chinese ships are transiting while the Hormuz crisis is Trump's problem. In other words, Donald, we're not worried a second about the Strait of Hormuz. China's been building up the largest oil reserves that exist in the world, and we're fine. We get our oil through the Strait of Hormuz. We can do what we want. You, on the other hand, are the one that's stuck, and your allies are stuck. Having an American military base in your country is a liability. Being an ally with the United States is a liability. So what's Donald Trump saying with all of that? I mean, you saw that meeting yesterday where Donald Trump's like, Xi, you're a great leader. You're a great leader. Really? Do you know how weak you look? Here, play this clip.
You're a great leader. I say it to everybody. You're a great leader. Sometimes people don't like me saying it, but I say it anyway because it's true. I only say the truth.
Then Donald Trump says, I was really impressed by all of the children that I saw. Let's play this clip.
Like few I've ever seen before. And I think I was particularly impressed by those children. They were happy. They were beautiful. The military is obvious. It couldn't be better, but those children were amazing, and they represent so much. And I know they represent so much to you.
Then Xi Jinping talks about the Thucydides trap, how the world is experiencing massive transformation, and that in this massive transformation, Trump must avoid the Thucydides trap. In other words, the U.S. should allow the rising power China to rise and step aside. That's what Xi Jinping's saying. Step aside, Donald. Step aside, U.S. Play this clip.
Currently, transformation not seen in a century is accelerating across the globe, and the international situation is fluid and turbulent. The world has come to a new crossroads. Can China and the United States overcome the Thucydides trap?
More from Xi Jinping to Trump here, talking about how in the interest of the future, we could be helpful or maybe not, but I would prefer that we can be helpful together. Here, play this clip.
Can we, in the interests of the well-being of our two peoples and the future of humanity, build a brighter future together for our bilateral relations? These are the questions vital to history, to the world, and to the people.
And you know who was not liking any of this? Lindsey Graham. Here's what he had to say. He's like, we're going to tariff China. Play this clip.
You name the allies of China, they're all dirtbags. They're aligned with the worst people in the world. They're buying oil cheaply from Iran, keeping their war machine going. Same thing with Russia. If China stopped buying Iranian oil or threatened to do it, the war in Iran would be over. All I'm asking China to do is help us open up the Strait of Hormuz, help us stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, because I think they would use it, help us end the bloodbath in Russia, Ukraine, that is hurting the world economy. If you help us, I will be very grateful. If you don't help us and you continue to prop up these regimes, I will do business with you on Monday and put tariffs on you on Tuesday. And the only thing China understands is what I just said. Xi is not a crazy man. He's not irrational. If he believed President Trump would crush his economy, the Chinese economy, for propping up Putin and Iran, I think he would change his behavior. You don't need to threaten him directly, but you need to make it real to him.
Now, as another sign of Donald Trump's utter weakness, Vladimir Putin, who's allied with China and Iran, used Donald Trump's trip as a pretext as well to launch perhaps the biggest, if not one of the biggest, drone and ballistic missile attacks on Ukraine since Russia's invasion began. Over the past 24 hours, Russia has attacked Ukraine with approximately 1,300 drones and 50 missiles. In addition to Kyiv, you have Kremchuk, Zaporizhia, Kharkiv, as well as the Odessa region, all came under fire. This is because after more than 4 years, Europe has still not grasped that Russian production facilities must be destroyed in order to end this war. And a Russian missile, and obviously the U.S. is a lost cause, a Russian missile hit a Ukrainian apartment building in Kyiv overnight during a massive raid. The structure partially collapsed, with Ukrainian rescue workers frantically digging through the rubble to find survivors in the morning. Just look at this map of the massive Russian drone and ballistic missile strike that was taking place last night as Donald Trump was there with Xi Jinping. You better believe this is all being coordinated. Xi Jinping's coordinating with Russia. Xi Jinping's coordinating with Iran, and Donald Trump's out there with his accordion hands. Oh, you're so strong. Yeah, China's so hot. China's so hot right now. Let me leave you all with these words of Kate from Kharkiv, what she said about these attacks by Russia. It was another horrible night in Ukraine. I keep describing that sticky, disgusting feeling of dread, of waiting for missiles that you know have been launched to fall somewhere and kill someone. Maybe this time, not you, or maybe. Morning comes, with it comes searching, rescuing, and recovering the bodies of people who did nothing wrong, who didn't deserve, who died tonight. It's been 4 years of this, more even, countless bombings. I don't know if it's ever going to stop. Well, Donald Trump pledged that he was going to end the war in 24 hours. He is a fraud. He is a con man. He is a criminal. He is a felon. He is a sexual abuser in that he was found civilly liable for sexual assault. He is a bankrupter. Also, Donald Trump and his regime pledged they would decouple from China, that they would bring China to its knees, is what Donald Trump and Jameson Greer, his trade representative, and Scott Bessent all said. And Donald Trump getting checkmated as he has his whole life, like the loser that he is, the bankrupter that he is, the destroyer that he is. Sickening. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks everybody for watching. Hit subscribe.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA union made.